right, testing. Microphone sounds good to me, and the screen share looks like it's working. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Connor, a front-end developer at Fedi, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is to integrate Ecash Support into your web apps. So, personally, the hardest part about building on Bitcoin, coming from front-end background, is how distant TypeScript land is from Rust land. I mean, we have WASM. You can expose some stuff over HTTP endpoints, but man, it's a nightmare to set up. Okay, honestly, it wasn't that bad. I just assigned some tickets to the Rust guys, and they did all the heavy lifting for me. They fall for it 100% of the time. No, there's like 4 here, and it's like 50% of the time. Let's see, this is not moving. Okay, there we go. So today I'm going to show you 2 ways you can interact with the Fedi protocol using TypeScript, and you won't have to even look at a single line of Rust. So the 2 ways we're going to go over is number 1, the Fedi Web SDK, and number 2, the Fedi client daemon. Both are absolutely goated, so both Chads, awesome stuff. So first, the Fedi Web SDK is an NPM package we just released. It runs in the browser over WASM bindings. You can interact with one Fedi at a time. It's easy to switch between them. And the state for each one, such as the Ecash balances, denominations, operations, this is all stored in IndexedDB, and it's controlled on the client. The Fedi client daemon is a Rust binary. It's controlled remotely over HTTP or WebSocket endpoints with password authentication. So typically, you'd host this on like a VPS. It's controlled by the hoster. So this isn't really good for giving someone an individual Fedi client. And you can interact with multiple Fedi simultaneously. Finally, the state is stored in RocksDB, everyone's favorite database. So I know it's fast, it's efficient, great logging, by the way. I mean, it's optimized for SSDs, flash storage. ChatGPT told me that. And overall, it's just an amazing database and the sponsor of today's talk. Okay, I'm not as evil as your favorite tech YouTubers. I won't put you through this. No affiliation. So let's move on to a live demo. I'm going to switch over to my local host over here. So I'm going to show you the Fedi Web SDK and the Fedi client daemon in action so you can see the differences and the use cases for each one. So on the left-hand side, we have the Fedi web wallet, which this is using the Fedi Web SDK. You have a balance. You can do some stuff with Lightning, some stuff with Ecash. So I'm going to show you how this works first. So I'm first going to just create a Lightning invoice, and I'm going to enter, I don't know, 10,000 millisats or just 10 sats. It copied the invoice to my clipboard, and I'm going to go over to the Fedi app over here, and I'm just going to pay this invoice. All right, so you should see the balance. Yeah, it did update in real time. And then we can pay an invoice, but we've all seen an invoice get paid before, so I'll skip that to save on time. We can redeem and spend Ecash nodes, and this plays a pretty important role in the talk and in the Web SDK library in general. So I'm going to initiate an offline send in the Fedi app, which is just creating Ecash nodes. I'll hit send, confirm, copy the Ecash nodes to my clipboard, and I'll just redeem it by pasting it in here. If you watch the balance, it will update immediately. So finally, spending Ecash nodes, which is just generating Ecash nodes. I just did that now. I'll use it in a bit, but now I'll move on to examples of the Fedi client daemon. So over here we have an example called multi-mints. We're joined to one Fedi right now, which is Bitcoin principles, and the same one that the Fedi web wallet is joined to. So the Fedi client daemon, the stuff on the right, is completely different from the stuff on the left. So I'm going to join a new Fedi to show you how you can interact with them with multiple Fedi simultaneously. So I'll just copy the invite code of this one right here, and I'll paste that in. And now we have 2. And each one also has its own balance. So if I were to spend some Ecash nodes right here, let's just do 2,000 millisats and redeem it to this one. We have, it should update in a second. There we go. API request is a little slow. This is in development mode. So I have one last example that's a good use case for multi-mint. So this is an Ecash betting game. The way this works is I generate Ecash notes. I'm going to paste it in, and that's my bet, and I will receive either half or double my bet. So I'm going to do, I don't know, let's do 2,000 millisats. It gets copied to my clipboard, and I will pay this. I'll play around. I'll hit enter, and it looks like my bet has been halved, and the Ecash notes have been copied to my clipboard, so I'll just redeem them so they don't stay floating around in the middle of nowhere. Now I'm going to play again. Let's see if we can get a double this time. So I'm going to do 2,000 millisats again, copy to clipboard, paste this in, and my bet has halved again. Math.random is not on my side. Let's give it one more shot. I'll spend some Ecash notes. Let's do 2,000 again. Paste that in. Let's play around. And my bet has been halved again. Okay, to save on time, I'm going to move on, but I can tell you, I promise, this worked before. It's not working now. Okay, so let's go back to these slides. I'm going to do a live coding session, basically coding out what I just demoed you to show you how easy it is to do this, like all from TypeScript. So I am going to expose my localhost to the internet at local-host.live, one of my favorite domains, by the way, that I own. Please be advised that I'm using real mainnet sats, and when this talk is over and I close my laptop lid, the link goes down, so please withdraw all your funds from here. And if I do get to the betting game, don't be so daring, please. The full solution to the source code that I just demoed is on github.com/ironcladdev/fedimintnext if you want to take a look at the code. So right now I will switch over to my terminal. Okay, let me just kill the current processes that are running. And let me zoom in so everyone can see a little better. Can everyone see that okay? Awesome. Okay, I'll cd out into the dev directory. All right. Let's bump it up a little bit more. All right, that should be more readable. All right, so I'll enter into tmux, neovim, by the way. Create a new window. I'm just going to start some processes here. So first is the Next.js development server. I'll create a new window. Next, I'll do running the Fedimint client daemon. So this runs on a different port on my machine. Finally, I'm going to expose my localhost to the internet with a Cloudflare tunnel. And finally, I'll go back here. So if I now go to, let me open a new tab, local-host.live, we can see we don't have the wallet. I'm going to build that, and then we have two examples. The links currently lead to 404s. So I'm going to go back here and open the file tree. So the first thing you'll notice is it's in the middle, and I've committed my .env file. Please don't copy, it's just for demonstration purposes. So in order for the Fedimint client daemon to run, you need to join at least one Fedimint first. So we have an invite code, and we have a default ID to pass in that just corresponds to the invite code. Some hosting options for the Fedimint client daemon, such as the port, password, and finally just the Next.js site URL. So first I'm going to work on actually building the wallet with the Web SDK. So if we go to index.ts, close that tab over here, we just have an H2, just like I showed you all just a minute ago. So now let's work on actually getting the wallet instance initialized. So I'm going to go const wallet, set wallet equals useState. I'm going to pass in Fedimint wallet or null, which is how it's going to start. Forgive me for not typing fast. I usually use one of those big chunky split keyboards, but I don't have that with me today. So next I'm going to initialize it in a use effect. So I can't remember all of this, so I just have some snippets with me. Just import use effect. So first we're just creating a new instance of the Fedimint wallet. setting the log level to debug, and we're just going to load it. And like I mentioned with the Fedi client D, both of these you need to pass a default invite code for it to join, and then we're loading it. So this open method right here, for a wallet to successfully open, it needs to at least load its state from IndexedDB and be joined to one federation. So now let's see if we can actually get this to load. So I'm going to do if wallet is a truthy value, then we're going to return that. Otherwise, we're going to return a loading state, H2, the style component loading. And I'll just delete that right there. Let's take a look back at the link. So it loads, and it finished loading. Beautiful. Now let's actually work on showing the balance and adding the Lightning and Ecash features. So I'll go back here. I'm going to create balance.tsx right here. So I'm just going to pull in my snippet right here. So just very basic React component. And we have a balance state, which is yet to be set, and we're just displaying it. So I'll just go ahead and display it over here. Let me just format that and do wallet balance, import it, and pass the wallet instance. All right, so if you are following along looking at the live localhost link, you should see we now have a wallet balance, and of course it's at 0. Now let's actually work on subscribing to the balance. So I'm going to pull in another snippet, wallet balance logic, and so all we're doing here is we have a use effect. It changes when the wallet prop does, which it shouldn't, and we're just using the wallet's balance module, and we're just using the subscribe balance method, and we set the state. So now it should update, but right now you should see 0 because we haven't topped up the wallet yet. There's no way to do that, but let's change it. So I'm going to create the Lightning widget now. So we'll import this. So once again, very similar. We just have a prop for the wallet instance and 2 callbacks that I'm going to fill out, and we just have some buttons just like you saw in the demo. So I will import this right here. Pass in the prop. And you should see the Lightning widget right now. Just checking. Once the wallet loads, we see the Lightning widget, and the buttons currently do not do anything. We'll zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see. So let's actually functionalize this now. For creating an invoice, I'm going to pull in this snippet right here. So all we're doing is prompting for an amount in MSATs. Early return, if not exists, we're using the wallet's Lightning module and using the create invoice method with the amount, a description, which I left blank. You can add additional stuff, but I won't cover that now. And finally, when it's complete, copy it to the clipboard. And if you try it now, you create the invoice and pay it, the balance should update. So now I'm going to into paying invoices. Pull in this snippet right here. So very simple, pretty similar. We're just using the Lightning method and the pay invoice method. I already tested this out in the demo, so I'll move on since we're a little bit tight on time with all the content I have. Finally, let's work on the Ecash widget. So I'll go over this relatively fast. Pull in the snippet. So almost identical to the Lightning one where we just have 2 empty callbacks and the wallet prop. Let's pull that in. So we're just using the mint module and the redeem Ecash method. And finally, to spend Ecash notes, I will pull this in. And once again, just prompting, spend notes. And we have this set timeout here. For some reason, spend notes was taking away focus on the document, so this would error. But rule number 1 in programming, if it works, don't touch it. Or rule number 0 for European elevator users, etc. So that's it. In just under like maybe 40 lines of code, we have a fully functional Lightning and Ecash wallet. This is the Fedi Web SDK. So now let's work on some of the multi-mint examples. So I'm going to create a multi-mint folder and page.tsx. And I'm just going to pull in this snippet right here and return a div with multi-mint. Okay, so if you go to the page from the example, if you're playing with the localhost link that I've exposed, you should just see this right here. So before I work on like the markup, the functionality, I need to create a client, an API client for the Fedimint client daemon. So I'm going to create a new folder lib/fedimint.ts and pull this snippet in. So it looks like a lot, but it's fairly simple. So we're just we have the Fedimint client builder from the Fedimint TS package. This is the one for interacting with the Fedimint client daemon, although we probably need to swap it with the Fedimint web SDK pretty soon. We have a function create Fedimint client, which we're just pulling the federation ID off of environment variables if it's not provided, passing some setup parameters, and we build it to make sure all the options are there, and use the default Lightning Gateway, first one in sight, and just return it. So I'm going to first create the client here. Just import that. And I'm going to go const info. This loads all the info about the current Fedimint it's joined to, equals wait fedimint.info. And finally, I'll just console.log it so we can all see. So if I go here, refresh the page, and come back to my terminal and go to the console, we should see we have the ID of the current one we're joined to, some metadata, and we have a balance, which of course it doesn't have anything in it yet. Let's go back. Okay, so now that we have the information, and you'll notice this is a React server component because of the async right here. And for those who are still using Next.js 12, this is almost equivalent of get server-side props. It's just a little newer stuff. It looks scary, but it works. So I'm going to create a client component, content.tsx. So this is the actual page content, and pull in the snippet for that. Looks like a lot, but it's not. So we just have some imports. We have a state set to the info prop loaded from the server. We have a function for joining the Fedimint, like I showed earlier in the demo. Just some styled components here, and personal preference. I don't like Tailwind classes clogging up my JSX, so I keep them out. This library supports variants, but I won't cover that now. So right here, I'm just going to replace this with multi-mint content and pass the info prop. So now if we go back and refresh, we should see here, but we don't see any items yet because I haven't created the components for that yet or loaded them. So I'm going to do that. And we have, we're just passing the information for that specific one. We have a function for redeeming Ecash nodes, which I haven't done yet. And finally, just some styled components again. Let's go back here, have it commented out. And I will delete those, import this. So now if we go and check, we should have our item now, the one we're initially joined to. So now let's work on actually being able to join new ones. Now for this, we're using the Fedimint client D, and just to remind you, you cannot really control this from the client side unless you expose your password to the client. Not a good practice. So we need to create an API route. We hit from the front end, and then that hits the client D, or in this case, the server action that Next.js does for you. So I'll create a file called actions.ts. And you'll notice the use server directive at the top. So this Next.js just kind of converts these async functions, these server functions, and you can just use it from the client side, and it just works. There's no fetch, content type application /JSON, then res.json kind of stuff. It's kind of convenient. So just walking through this, we're just creating the Fedimint client, and we're just using the join method and returning success along with the updated info, so we can see the changes in real time. Let's do, no, that's the wrong one. Yeah, that's it. So let me just import this right here. And now you can join Fedi mints from this multi-mint example. So I am running a little lower on time. It's kind of hard to time this, especially live coding. So I already showed the redeeming Ecash nodes to a specific Fedi mint in the demo, so I'll skip that for now. Let's just toss this button right here and get rid of that. So now I'm going to work on the betting example. Very similar. We're just creating like a single server action and a page. So I'll create betting/page.tsx and nope. Pull in this, similar to before, just some markup, some style components, and we have a play function, which has yet to be filled out. So we go to the betting example, we have this, play button does nothing. Now let's work on actually creating the server action for placing a bet. Let's go. So I'll pull in the snippet. This is just the async function with the try catch block. I'll pull in the next part. I split this into 3 chunks because it's pretty big. So first we need to create the Fedi mint client again. We're just listing all the IDs, and in this next block we're just checking to see whether the nodes passed in, the Fedi mint client daemon has actually joined one of these, and we're just using the reissue method, which is just claiming the Ecash notes. Let me pull in the second part. So it looks like a lot. Let's see, we stopped right there. So we're just getting the information that all the Fedi mints is currently joined to. And so basically what this is doing right here is checking to see if the current Fedi mint that the nodes came from can afford to pay double the bet. If not, it just gives you half. If it can, then it will roll a 50% chance, and maybe return you double your bet. So now we're using the Fedi mint, the mint module for the Fedi mint client D, and the spend method with the amount, and finally we're just returning it to the user. So I'm going to do this. Let's see, the handle play method, and I'm just going to import this server action right here. And now betting should be functional. I've already showed this, and we are pretty low on time, but you can use this, and you can. I don't know where I don't think I imported the Ecash component, did I? Okay, let me just do that real quick. And I indeed did not. All right, so now you can, spend Ecash nodes, place a bet, and it should work, but that's do you have a question? Yes, Next.js handles all that. It looks a little scary, but anything on this, anything. I do. Yeah. So going back to the slides, before we move on to any Q&A and stuff, I do want to let you know that Fedi is hiring. We use an amazingly based technology stack, Rust, Nightly, Nix, all these kind of fun stuff. Small startup energy, amazing work environment, technical product manager, I forget, manager who tries to keep us out of meetings. I can't promise this for a non-technical role. Last but not least, everyone hates Docker, Nix, all the way, baby. Check us out on bitcoinerjobs.com/company/Fedi, and thank you.